Good evening, everyone, and welcome once again to the Internet Citadel Show. We've got a great special guest on tonight. We've been waiting for this for quite a long time, as we have had this gentleman on a previous attempt at a show that kind of went wrong because of wonderful technology. But we are up and we are live, and we are excited. Kathy, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing awesome, Brian, and I am just like you, looking forward to our special guest.
Absolutely. Before we get started, as we always do, I would like to introduce my wonderful business partner and very dear friend, Kathy Stover. Give you a little background so that you can understand that this woman comes from a lot of experience, all very beneficial to this show and what we talk about each and every week. She's been an operations manager and sales manager for over 25 years with a Fortune 500 company. I could stop right there. That's impressive enough, but it goes on. She's a very highly successful social media coach. She's incredible at building folks' Twitter accounts, LinkedIn accounts, and Facebook accounts, and also helping them to market themselves using those avenues. So be sure to check her out after the show. Go to kathystover.com at her blog and check her out on Facebook. Just look up Kathy Stover. You will definitely find her. Hook up with her, and she will take care of your social media needs. Also, she is a budding speaker. Yes, that's right. A public speaker is in the works right here. Kathy Stover, the young lady to my left, to your right, is going to be on stage very, very soon at a theater near you. No, she's working. We are actually working together on that. We're very excited about that. Also, this is very impressive. I like to call her affectionately the affiliate marketing queen. Why? Because she can sell almost anything on the internet to almost anyone. Just a talent I've never come across before in my personal life. None comes close to touching the level of talent that Kathy has in the arena of affiliate marketing and affiliate sales. She's been doing that since the early 90s. Also has network marketing experience, or MLM, is also commonly known, dating back to the mid 80s. Lots of marketing background. Also, recently has been given the prestigious title of power seller on eBay, and they mailed her a certificate, physical certificate in the mail that she has. She could show us if we ever wanted proof. Anyone wants to chat and say show us, she'll dig it up for us. But that's pretty impressive right there. Power seller. She has sold a lot on eBay. That's what that means. But she's also, which I think is even more impressive, rated as a top-rated seller on eBay. And to become a top-rated seller, you must do so. You must be a seller on eBay with nothing but integrity, because each buyer individually rates you and their experience with you. So she has that designation, another certificate. Pretty soon she's going to have wallpaper behind her. But I'm going to turn it over and bring Kathy in. So take it away, Kathy.
Well, okay. No, we were going to save this for our guest, but okay, that's enough. Now we're done with the show. Brian, thank you so much. You just give me such wonderful accolades. I really, really appreciate it. But I want to share with everybody my dear friend Brian, and Brian's my business partner as well. And I'm going to start right out of the gate. He had mentioned about doing the public speaking, and yes, we are going to be joint venturing and doing that together in the business that we have, with some other exciting things that we have coming up. But in addition to that, he is also very adept at social media. He's put together tweet performance that you can see down below for those that want a step-by-step how-to Twitter and actually increase your following, and a lot of other things too that I don't want to give away. Just check it out; it's pretty cool. The other thing, Brian has been a software engineer for over 23 years, and also was co-owner of a travel-based MLM for 6.5 years. So he has just got a plethora of experience there. He also has been involved in multi-level marketing beyond that, and that's how him and I met a few years ago. And also has a lot of technical experience and also web experience. As you can see, everything that's put together with our site and all of the technical things that we enjoy each week so that we can come into your homes or offices or whatever are all done by Brian. He's absolutely phenomenal. I don't want to take any more time, though, because I could keep going on and on and on. I really could. But what he's going to be sharing about our next guest is so phenomenal. I don't want to take one more minute of his time, so that we can share you with him. So Brian, I'm going to turn it back over to you. As always, I'm excited about spending another Tuesday evening with you.
Absolutely. And if you thought the introduction for Kathy was impressive and lengthy, just hold on. So grab your favorite beverage and come right back, like now, because I'm going to introduce our next guest. We are very excited to bring him back. I love his first name, by the way. He even spells it correctly. Brian Show33 is America's leading authority on getting your child into the college of their choice without using all your savings, without sacrificing your current lifestyle, or going plain broke. After his personal tragedy of getting injured playing soccer and counting on a big athletic scholarship, he was left in the dark his senior year wondering how to afford college. After incorrect advice from his guidance counselor, he turned down his dream school of USC and got himself in over $50,000 in student loan debt. How many of you can relate to this? I'm sure there are a lot out there. After his painful college experience, he decided to devote his life and career helping kids and parents learn the truth about the college planning process and what it takes to get accepted to any college of the child's choice, to receive thousands of dollars of financial aid regardless of income or assets, and properly fund for the cost of college without going broke. Now here's where we get really impressive. Brian, the other Brian, that's Show33. We call him, well, I won't tell you what we call him. Brian has been featured in LA Times, Daily News, the Signal newspaper, SCV TV, AM 1220 KHTS radio show, and has appeared on many TV channels such as Fox News, USA Network, Bravo, E! Network, ABC Family, Food Network, TLC, True TV, VH1, Animal Planet, Lifetime Movie Network, Oxygen, CNN, I need Oxygen, CNN, and much more. Brian has helped raise over $121,000 in charitable contributions, I'll get it, to many nonprofit organizations and been awarded by the U.S. House of Representatives, Congressman Howard Buck McKeon, Assemblyman Cameron Smith, California State Assembly, County of Los Angeles, California State Senate, California Legislative, City of Los Angeles, City of Santa Clarita, and more. There is more about this gentleman, but that's where we're going to leave it. I would like to introduce everyone to a wonderful person who is helping out many, many families to put their kids through colleges, not just little junior colleges, but major universities. I'd like to introduce you all to Brian Show33. How you doing, Brian?
Good, thank you. Thanks for that warm welcome.
Welcome, Brian.
Thank you, thank you.
It's so good to have you back.
Thank you. I know. It was the first time. Technology is always against my favor. That's why when I do workshops now, it's funny. I use those old school projectors. You know, like the ones like the box with like
the crank
transparencies. Yeah, those cranks, almost like a crank, but a little newer than that. But it's the old schools where you put a box and there's the old school transparency.
Yeah.
And it's like all you need to do is just push on and off, and a light comes on, and then you just need a screen in the back, and it works. That's what I use.
That sounds like my kind of technology.
Yeah, I still don't use PowerPoint. People always say, hey, why don't you get into the new technology and do your workshops in PowerPoint? I go, because all I got to do is just push on and off and need an extra bulb, and I'll be able to get the message out, and that's all that matters to me. So,
extra bulb, I love it.
Yeah, so the technology stuff, I'm not there. So that's why I guess the first time our computers went blank, because it was the whole secret thing where you start knowing technology is not on your side, and that's I guess what happened. So I'm glad it works today. So glad to be
well,
here.
I have
Thank
to
you.
tell you this, even with you utilizing the technology that you're talking about, the message that you have, Brian, to share with a multitude of families that are in financial peril, no matter how you put that out there, it's absolutely invaluable. So I don't think that it would make any difference how you put it. You know, if you painted a mural on a wall and people saw it, it would be phenomenal. So
yeah,
I think that's great.
Cool. Thank you. Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. Look forward to sharing all the valuable information for your listeners and your viewers. So thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you.
Bet. One of the things that I wanted to ask is home-based entrepreneurs face the same challenges as those that work in the traditional workforce, right? I mean, we're all kind of in the same boat, and the economy being what it is right now is affecting us and folks that are planning for their child's college education. A lot of folks have students that are getting ready to go to college and due to circumstances, for whatever reason, are finding themselves financially strained. So it's putting an additional burden on their expenses over and beyond what it would have before. So
Sure.
what I wanted to ask about, and it's something that we did with our daughter, and that was to search for grant money. Now, I'm not going to give away how old I am, but I'm a Grammy, and I'm really proud of it. So, but you're not supposed to tell your age. But anyway, it's been a while. So back when we were doing those kind of things and searching for grant-type money for our daughter, I ended up going to a bookstore, and I bought a book. I'm not kidding. I think it was this thick, Brian, and I was in really tiny print, and I could see good back then. But I dug through, looking for grant money. So nowadays, how difficult is it, and with the economy being the way it is, for parents to find grant money?
Well, that's a good question, because I think everybody, the minute you're thinking about college, immediately you want to search for grants and scholarships. And I know back then you said you're reading thick books like this. Well,
yes.
If I was able to move my head over all the books behind me, it's that thick, and it gets thicker and thicker every year. And yeah, they are in small fonts. So I don't think people have the time and the energy to go through that, and it's hard to figure it out the first time. But usually the grants and financial aid is on a first-come, first-served basis. And the number one mistake I get families making today is people think financial aid and grants and scholarships are only for low-income families. And most families don't fill out financial aid forms because they just assume that they won't qualify for financial aid. And it's not true. It's the number one myth in this entire process. I've worked with 1,100 families, and I've been in front of like 25,000 parents over the past 6 years. And that's the first thing I get is, we make too much money, we won't qualify for financial aid. Where do we go and apply? And a lot of the grants or the scholarships that you go online to apply for, they're like, you have to search for them, and they're mainly like private sectors, meaning like Henry Mayo and Coca-Cola and Farmers and Allstate. We give out $2,500 a year, and 600 students are applying. So it's kind of like a lottery. So everybody searches for financial aid or scholarships or grants online, because today with technology you start going online versus going and buying books, because the information is online. But the problem is it's so overwhelming to parents, because they don't spend the right amount of time doing this. They wait till like the senior year, and they're like, oh my god, college is going to cost us $20,000-$25,000 a year. What do we need to do? All right, let's start searching so fast, like money's going to fall from the sky. They really, really need to start planning ahead. I think the most important thing is, if they plan ahead, then they're a little bit more less overwhelmed searching for scholarships.
Well, that's a great. I'm glad you bring that up. And about what would you recommend about how much in advance, how many years should a family start planning? I know you could probably start at their infancy, and that would be best. But
sure.
When is it too late to start planning?
It's never too late, because the financial aid process, most families think you fill this out 1 year, or you do it 1 year, and then if you get money you do, if you don't, you don't. But you need to start 9th and 10th grade year is the best time to get started, at least. Obviously, like you said, if it's earlier, even better, but that's like putting money away and savings and all of that kind of stuff.
Right.
And knowing obviously how to save so it doesn't count against you against the financial aid, which we'll probably talk about throughout the segment tonight. But the most important thing is 9th and 10th grade is the most important year to start planning, because the colleges start looking at you 9th and 10th grade financially and academically. So, but it's never too late. I have families who are in college already, and the financial aid process repeats itself every single year. It's not a 1-year thing. Every single year you have to reapply for financial aid. 9 out of 10 families think you just fill out the financial aid form the senior year before the students go off to college, or if they're transferring from a community college to a 4-year, they think they start, and if they don't get anything, oh well, they don't get anything. It's not true. Every year the system repeats itself. So you can get money 1 year, and you might not get money the second year, just because maybe your income went too high or something happened. But every year there's a system and there's strategies on how to maximize financial aid.
And that's where you come in.
Well, one thing that you said, Brian, was that there was a misnomer as far as income is concerned. So my thought is this: let's just throw a number out there. Let's say that a 2-parent household makes $100,000 a year,
Sure.
or $150,000, whatever we want to say. We'll just say $100,000 a year, and so that they have income coming in, but they have expenditures going out that are taking the majority of that money.
Yeah.
So they haven't been able to set any money aside to save for the child's college tuition. In that example, or is that too broad, would they be able to possibly apply for grant money?
Oh yeah. Financial aid, there's 3 different banks. So I'll break this out in 3 sections. There's something called need-based aid. What need-based aid, the definition in the Higher Education Act, is what your expected family contribution is. And this number, most families don't even know what this is until the senior year or when they're already in college. Basically, the expected family contribution is a number that you get when you fill out a 156 question financial aid form, and it tells you this is how much you can afford. And the 156 questions, there's 74 exact questions on there that's going to affect your personal EFC. So for example, if Brian, you're filling this out, and Kathy, let's say both of you make $100,000 a year and you have 4 in the household, Kathy, you can have an EFC of $20,000 a year, and Brian, you can have an EFC of $32,000 a year. Just because you make the same income, you have the same assets and the same number of people in the household, doesn't mean you're going to get the same EFC. There's so many little things that goes into this to decide your EFC, but it's a calculator. So when you fill out your financial aid form, you get this number. Basically, it's a number what the government thinks you can afford minimum to send your child to college. So here's an example. If Kathy, you go online and your EFC, expected family contribution, comes in $20,000. Let's say you're looking at Cal State Northridge that costs $20,000 a year, and you're also looking at USC, which is $50,000 a year. Most families go, well, we're sending our kid to a $20,000 school because a $20,000 school, the sticker price is cheaper versus USC that's $50,000. But do you know that the USC is going to give you more money and your net out of pocket is going to be cheaper to go to a private school than a state school?
Wow.
Wow.
That's the stuff families don't know about because they just look at the sticker price.
Yeah.
So one thing we have to look at is the sticker price, but there's a formula that's cost of attendance, which is 1 year cost, minus your expected family contribution, whatever yours is. Yours is $20,000 in this scenario that we're using. So
Right.
if you're looking at Cal State Northridge and the cost of attendance is $20,000 for everything bundled up for 1 year, 20 minus 20, you have a 0 need. So when you subtract cost of attendance minus EFC, it gives you your need. If you don't have a need, you're not going to get money. So the goal is to bring that EFC as low as possible every single year by repositioning your income, your assets. It's kind of like tax strategies where you have especially for business owners, this is big. If you're a business owner, there are so much strategies because tax laws were written for self-employed people. And there's ways on using strategies to bring your EFC down because you're self-employed. You have expenses like you mentioned and all these things that are going on, and your EFC can go from 20,000 down to 10. So now if you're going to Cal State Northridge, if the school costs 20 and your EFC drops down to 10,000 a year, well, now you're eligible for $10,000 in financial aid because of that formula. So if you're looking at a private school, 50,000 minus 20,000 is your EFC, well, you're eligible for up to $30,000 in financial aid. So that's why the EFC is the need basically is number 1 way to get more money. Number 2 is merit-based money. This is the student's GPA being high, SAT scores, etc. Here's a strategy for that. You have 152 points above average SAT students getting into a specific school, you're going to get about $10,000 to $15,000 in merit aid. But you can have a 4.2 GPA and go to Berkeley. It doesn't mean you're going to get money because there's too many 4.20 students at Berkeley. But if you're going to Biola University, you have a 4.2, you fall in the top 10% of the incoming freshmen, you're getting $15,000 of presidential scholarship, which automatically cuts your cost down in half almost, just off that one merit aid. So financial aid is not just like if you make $100,000 a year, doesn't mean every school is going to give you the same amount of money. You need to know the formulas so that way you know how to put the system to your advantage. So that's merit-based. So that was number 2. So number 1 was need-based, and number 2 was merit. The third one is institutional merit. What that means is it's different from merit. Institutional merit means it's endowment money and money profits that the schools have, which they have over $80 billion that they've raised in profits at the private sectors, like private schools, that they give out to fill seats. And unfortunately, families don't want to apply to private schools because they get freaked out and they go, it's $50,000 a year, we can't go here.
Yeah.
But they don't know that there's formulas that you have to put in place first before you actually tell the student, hey, we can't go here, it's too expensive. I get it. I know it's expensive. I know life and everything kicks in and the economy. But parents, everybody think that picking schools is based on sticker price. That's the last thing you want to look at. You want to look at your need-based formulas, your merit-based money, institutional merit. For example, I have a family who makes $467,000. He's a CEO of a Fortune 500 company. He has he's not going to get need-based money because his income's too high, but he's going to get institutional merit. He got at Baylor University in Texas, he got $27,500 of free money. Here's the reason why. The schools will say that if you make over $200,000 a year at Baylor, chances are you're going to be an alumni and you're going to give back and contribute towards the school. So they're going to give you, they're going to entice you and give you some money so that you can become a long-time alumni, because they've done stats. They have enrollment managers who are like analytical people who look at who they really want, and they don't always want good students like GPA. Everybody thinks college is about the most prestige students get to go to college, and the ones with low GPA have to suffer and go to a Cal State or go to a community college or not go at all. But they're looking at all well-rounded students. So they're looking at, sometimes you get more money when you make more money versus making less money. They don't want you sometimes in some schools. They're like, hey, you don't have any money to give us, because college is a business.
That's amazing. And without somebody like you out there to give this kind of information, to provide this kind of information to families, no one would ever know. Brian, aren't you surprised?
I'm hinging on every word. I don't even want to ask questions anymore. I just want to listen.
Kids, right? That are, yeah.
This is incredible.
Well, I mean, I've been... Yeah, because I've been through this myself. The thing that happened was, after I got myself in over $50,000 in debt, and then I'm trying to pay all these loans back off without a job, and I'm freaking out how I'm going to pay all this off and get a job, that's when I encountered the higher education system, and I met people in Congress like Congressman Buck McKeon and all these people who actually write the Higher Education Act. That's 1,201 pages. It's like in size 4 or 5 font, like literally it's all in like Congress language, like they have their own little language that no one can understand but them, right? So it's like, once I dissected these rules, I started having a passion for this, because I said, look, I could have gone to a private school, could have left home. I actually had to live at home another 4 years with parents. Sucks to be me. So I had to live at home, eat top ramens every day. I can show you 52 ways on how to make top ramens. So that's what got me through school, and I still got myself in debt.
We'll do that on next show. Top 52 ways.
Yeah. So, but that's how, I mean, once I learned that, that's when I said, I got to share this information. I never thought it was going to be a business. Had you told me 6 years ago, I'm 29, told me 6 years ago, hey, you're going to go into a business and have the largest entrepreneur, you're going to have one of the biggest businesses, I'd be like, no way, because I'm not the entrepreneur type of person. I was just like, no. But I just started sharing my message to people, and I started helping people. Never thought it would be a business. Started off with a cup of coffee. People would buy me a coffee and go to Starbucks, and then it went to buying me dinner and food, and then I started charging a fee, and that's how it turned into a business. So again, I've been through this the wrong way, so it's not the parents' fault or the students' fault, but that's why I try to go out as much as I can to educate families, so then they know that they can go to college and they don't have to be scared about the sticker price.
This is a very unique service.
Well,
that
I think
offer.
that's, and I was going to say, and I think that that's what was exciting to Brian Kelly and I when we met you, Brian, at Craig Duswald's Rockstar Boot Camp.
Sure.
Because of the fact that you are entrepreneurial, you were up on stage, you've written a book, you have taken a business, an offline business that continues to run as an offline business, and make it an online entity as well. So for any of our viewers out there that are wondering, you know, can I take what I'm passionate about or whatever it is that I'm doing and be successful with it online as well, you are an absolute great model for that, for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, I put a lot of money on the table. It's like kind of like a bank. Think of it like a bank, and someone's walking into your bank account and taking money away from you. That's literally what was happening to me, because I was doing everything offline, and I was working with families within like a 15-mile radius of Santa Clarita, and there's so many families across the country who want my message and want my services. When I noticed that, I was like, oh my God, it's like someone walking to a bank and just robbing me and taking my money away. That's when I got smart, and I met people like techie guys like Brian Kelly that, you know, everything is online and they know how to run a business, and Kathy, you're doing everything online. I was like, oh my God, I can do this entire business online. how much more money could I bring in
Yeah.
without working more? It's like doubling, tripling your income and doubling and tripling your time off, because once it's all done online, it's like you don't have to be present across the whole world. The internet does that for you. So yeah, I agree. Online is great.
Yeah, and just as an example, I mean, we're sitting here talking. We happen to all reside in California. Brian, you're probably an hour, maybe, distance from where I'm sitting right now, south of me. But Kathy is up in Northern California, east of San Francisco area. But we've had folks on from Canada, from the East Coast, Australia, and we can do this live at any time. So that's what this technology brings to any business, not just for a show and live shows, but the internet by itself. There are so many ways you can communicate, and Brian has taken advantage of that. He's one of those that has seen what's out there, has adjusted, and now his business is booming. What did you just tell us before the show, Brian, about you have 2 locations? Maybe you want to share that?
Yeah, over the past 6 months, I've decided to expand our business and have 2 new branches, one in the Ventura County area and one in the Santa Monica area. And we're expanding like 1 or 2 branches every like 6 months is our goal. But it couldn't happen if I don't use all these resources and the technology. Because if I just sit and do things the old school style and sit in comfort zone, one thing I've realized is in life, if you sit in comfort zone, you're not gonna progress. It's kind of like the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results.
Exactly.
You're not going to get that. You have to do different things, and you're actually more successful when you feel uncomfortable. So you got to step out of your comfort zone and do things that are not comfortable, because that's when you're actually making progress. So
Excellent
yeah, I
advice,
agree.
yeah.
2 new offices, and we have 6 new college planners that we brought on board that we're training. And this kind of stuff, like I'm watching this, now my mind's spinning. I'm like, wait a minute, I don't have to have my guys drive out from Santa Monica, Pasadena, all over the country that I'm planning on opening up offices, and I can do what you guys are doing like this and get these guys on stream like this and teach them the sales business and teach them how to become college planners and kind of do it virtually. A lot of it looks like I can do 80-90% of growing the business virtually, all through this kind of technology, and just the 10% would be opening up the physical branches and all the other stuff. So when I'm looking at this just right now, I didn't even think about that. It just hit me right now. Like while I'm talking to you guys, I'm like, oh my God, there's so much more I can do on top of what I've just been learning about the technology world. Just this alone has already given me a couple ideas. So this is actually great. This program is amazing.
I always say as a techie guy that this is a great time to be alive. You know, it's really exciting. But wanted to segue a little bit and let everybody know that up here to our left, if you're on internetcitadel.com, as you should be.
That way.
Yep, he's up that way, and click right on Brian's nose, Brian Saftari, right on his nose on that picture. Don't do it right now, but you can click on that, and that will take you directly to his Facebook account. So hook up with Brian, get more information about what he does. This is a fantastic service. More specifically, there's a link beneath us. College planning experts.
Yes, it is, right down there.
Click on that. That will take you directly to his website. He's actually got some free offers in there right now, a free silver membership, I believe. And also, we don't have the link up on the site right now, but once this show is complete and we have the recorded version of it available, and if you don't know how to find that, you'll be able to find that if you click on the register link above and just fill out your information. We will send you automated emails letting you know when a recorded show is available, when the next live show appears, etc. But that will direct you to the recorded page of this show, and there'll be a link there that you can enter a contest. And if you wouldn't mind, Brian, real quickly spelling out what people could enter to win in that drawing.
Oh, sure. We are giving, for all of the viewers tonight, I'm giving out a free 1-hour consultation, either via the phone or it could be through in person if they're within driving distance. So what I'm offering is a free evaluation on exactly what a family's EFC is. So I calculate the family's detailed expected family contribution. Mm-hmm. So that way we know what the family is going to have to pay for college, no matter where they go. Then I'll be able to show families what kind of schools have money and what kind of schools don't have money based on that family's income asset level. Because whatever their income and asset level is, they're going to get categorized in the Higher Education Act and in Congress on different categories. So like if you make under $70,000 a year, you should get financial aid at most schools you're applying to, but you need to know how to position the financials. if you make $71,000 to $140,000 a year, I got to share with families what kind of schools will give you money and what kind of schools will just won't give you money, period. And then if you make over $140,000 a year, I got to share with families what schools will come out cheaper than going to state schools, and what schools have money and what schools will bring the cost cheaper than any other schools. So no matter where your income and asset level is, there's schools that you can go to on how you position your income and assets, and that's the stuff I give out in the 1-hour consultation. So I give their EFC, their family category type, and I answer all their personal questions, and I put them on the right track for college planning and everything else. And then at the end, if I think I can help them out, I'm the first to let them know I can. If I can't, I just let them know, here's like a little map quest, here's exactly what you need to do, read this book, do this, do this, do this, and go off and go do it on your own. But before I take on anybody, I have to be able to at least save them 3 times the return. If I can't at least save them 3 times the investment they're going to give me, that means for every dollar they pay me, if I can't get them $3 back in return in the financial aid process, they don't make a good client for me. It's just the way I've run my business. Typically, I take on about 8 to 10 families per month. So as a private consultant, I take on about 100 to 120 clients a year. So this service is not going to be for everybody. I can't help everyone. Typically, the families I only help are the ones that are going to get 2 to 3 times the return on our services. But the 3 things we help out is showing the families how to find the right schools and ensure their kids are going to get in, because it's so hard getting accepted to schools these days. So that's pillar number 1. Pillar number 2 is I show families how to pay wholesale for college versus retail. That's extracting money from the schools regardless of income or assets. And number 3 is I show families how to properly fund for college, meaning pay for it without using all their income, use all their savings, sacrifice their current lifestyle, or go broke trying to get their kids through college. Those are the 3 big pillars that I handle when I work with a family. So if they wanted more info, obviously the links are here by my nose or down here and all that stuff. So they can click it and they can get in touch with me, and I'll be more than happy to give the consultation that we charge. It's $497, so we charge $500, and families every month take my spots, and I'm about 3 weeks out right now before I can see anybody, because the demand for like what I do is so much more than the amount of people I have doing this. So I kind of like first do the consultation to see what we can do, and then from there we decide if we can help them out. So that's kind of how our
well, I'll tell you what, that's an amazing service.
Thank you.
I can see that it would be keeping you extremely busy for sure.
Oh yeah, but it's fun. Again, it comes down to, like you said earlier, passion. In this economy, we've almost tripled our revenue in the past 2 years in this so-called recession. When people tell me we're in a recession, I go, sorry, I decided not to participate. So
I love it.
I haven't been affected. Again, back to, if you have a passion for what you do and you can find a dynamic need, like an industry, like find a niche and grow rich. It's the Napoleon Hill, tagline that, find a niche and grow rich. Find a niche that you can service. Fish in a pond versus fishing in an ocean. Find a small niche that you can be the specialist at versus a generalist, and have a passion, and ultimately the burning passion and the desire you're going to have in helping people. There's no such thing as not making it. So that's just my personal opinion and the experience I've had. As you can tell, this is the only business I've started and the only business that I can say is succeeding. So I haven't done 20 different businesses that go, oh, I have a lot of experience. So I'm just kind of going over my experience.
However,
well, it only takes one
exactly.
with experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with batting 100%, batting 100
Yes.
or 1,000,
Sure.
1,000.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing wrong with that. I agree.
And as we always say on this show, we bring on entrepreneurs of all different ages, walks, experience levels, success levels, etc. You're up there as far as success level. You're down there as far as age. I mean, you're a great person to have on our show, because folks can relate and say, well, gosh, if he can do it, why can't I? But what we always say is, look and listen to what Brian Safdari is saying right now, what he just said. What was the driving engine behind him getting to where he is now? For some of you, some of the concepts might seem a little out there, but Kathy, you and I have seen this over and over and over again, about mindset, things about mindset, and all the things that people typically don't think about, that everyone thinks you work hard and you'll make a lot of money. It's not always that true. You got to work smart instead of just hard, but you will work hard. But anyway, just wanted to say, take heed in what Brian has just said. And if you're watching this live, come back later and watch the recording and listen back to that maybe several times, that little blurb that Brian talked about Napoleon Hill and all the mindset related issues, because we see and hear this time and time again from those that we have on the show that have been successful in the genre of entrepreneurship and business. So definitely take heed to what he's saying. Let's get back to the grants real quick. I wanted to find out, if I may, what is the difference, say, between the true difference between a grant, a loan, and say a scholarship. What are the actual defining differences there?
Sure. Scholarships or grants, scholarships and loans. Is that right?
Yeah.
Brian?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Grant, scholarship, loan.
Okay. So scholarship. Let me clarify scholarship first, because this is where the confusion comes. Because grants, people know it's free money.
Right.
Scholarship. There's two types of scholarships. There are private sector scholarships that 97% of families search for. It's the one I stay away from, because only 3% of a, so imagine like a pie chart, like I'm holding it like a pie chart here. 3% of a pie chart comes from private sector scholarships. 97% of where the funding and the money comes from is the stuff I'm talking about, which is grants and institutional scholarships. There's a difference between scholarships coming from the school versus scholarships that you go online and you start searching, like Coca-Cola. And because Coca-Cola gives out $250,000 a year, 500,000 students apply, and there's about 25 awards, starting from $1,000 up to $25,000. But the problem is, it's kind of like a lottery. Everybody goes online and searches scholarships, and they're like, oh my god, look at all the sites, million sites of scholarships, but half of them are probably scams, because with the Federal Trade Commissioner's Office, the FTC right now, the number 3 biggest scam out there right now is private scholarships, because college is so expensive, and everybody thinks, okay, we're going to like just apply for scholarships and cross our fingers and rub their rabbit's tail, and all of a sudden, poof, money's gonna just fall from the sky. It's not, because that's what I thought. I was an athlete. I thought I was gonna get all these athletic scholarship, and people kind of hyped up my head and said, "Oh, you're a really good soccer player. You're playing professional soccer. You're gonna get a full ride." I got $598. Spent 2 years searching it. I could have worked at McDonald's part time and made more money to have money set aside for college versus spending all my time searching for scholarships. So private sector scholarships, I'm not against. I say apply, but only spend very little amount of time, because it's kind of like a lottery. Might as well go play the lotto, because then you can win big. The other scholarship is institutional scholarships, which is given based on institutional merit, which was that bank I talked about earlier, and need-based. When you qualify for need and you search for schools that give you institutional merit money, then you're going to be able to get scholarships. So that's a scholarship. Those are the good scholarships. That's the place where you want to focus on. Grants is the same thing. Grants will come only if you have a need. Like, for example, Biola gives 80% of families receive grant money, meaning free money, if you have a need. So if a family has a $20,000 need, for example, based on that formula I shared earlier, which was cost of attendance minus EFC equals need, well, the need, 80% of that 20,000 will be grant money, would be free money. But if your EFC is the same cost of the school, so if it's 50 for the school and 50,000 for the EFC, well, 50 minus 50 is 0. Even if the school is generous and they give 80% grant money, you're not going to get it because you don't have a need. So you have to show need, and you have to apply to schools that give institutional merit. So that's grants. And then loans, there's different kind of loans. There's loans that I took out on that were really bad. These are a loan that you want to be really, really careful. This goes for everybody watching this. The PLUS loans, it's the Parent Loans for Undergraduate Students. So PLUS stands for Parent Loans for Undergraduate Students. These PLUS loans are 8.5% interest rate, up to 16%, adjustable. 10-year loans, so every time you borrow, they're 10-year amortized loans. They're 4% origination cost to borrow these loans, because that's how the schools make money. And on top of that, General Attorney Cuomo out of New York has investigated over 150 schools that they're receiving secret kickbacks from the banks, like private agreements they have, where they'll steer you towards these loans saying, hey, yeah, we're here to help you. Take these loans out, and you can pay it back when you finish school. Don't worry about it. We'll help you. This is what's going to help you fund for college. Parents don't know better. Students don't know better. They take these loans. 4 years later, they have this big snowball of 8.5% to 16% loans, $100,000 in debt. The payments kept accumulating, the interest kept adding, like those NEGAM loans, And now you have all these loans, and the student is broke before they even start their career, just because they took the wrong loans. Because the schools are not going to be, the schools are not there for you. I've gone through this. I trusted the schools, thinking a school is like a non-profit, but I realized that they're in it for a business, and I just listened to everything they said, and that's how I got myself in debt. I took on these loans that were bad for you. Then there's another loan that's really good. It's the Stafford loans. These are the interest-free loans that are given to the students. But the Stafford loans will not be given to families unless you demonstrate a need. So even though they're loans, and we consider them loans, but these loans are loans that are interest-free, given by the federal government. No credit check, no background check. The student takes it, it's deferred. It's like an IOU. And when the student graduates, their rates are really, really low. And these are only given to need-based families. You have to qualify for need, which was back again to that formula that I was talking about earlier. Does that answer your question?
Well, let me ask you this, Brian. Can you mix like grants and loans and scholarships and all of that stuff, or is that not possible?
Oh yeah, you can. So once you have a need, the schools will meet the need based on two types of awards. One is gift aid, meaning free money you don't have to pay back, which is like grants, scholarships, etc. And the second one is self-help. Self-help category is basically means Stafford loans, federal work study, all of that. So you definitely want to take the federal work study. You want to take the Stafford loans. You want to obviously take the grants and the scholarships and all of that. When you add all of this up, you'll have enough money to have the difference covered either monthly or be able to take a loan and then pay that back later, which won't be that much. So if you're looking at a $50,000 school and your expected family contribution, Kathy, is $20,000, the $30,000 will get met if the schools meet 100% of the need. So you have to ask this question at the school: do you meet 100% of the need? So if you're going to USC, before you even go, you're going to say, okay, you know your cost is 50. You know your EFC is 20. You know your need is 30,000. Well, now the next question is, does the school meet 100% of the need? Do they meet 50% of the need? How much of that is going to be covered? So if the schools meet 100%, like USC is 96% need met, that means that 30,000 need that you have in this scenario we're using will get all met, which means your out-of-pocket is only going to be 20 a year out of 50. The 30,000 is going to get covered by the school between gift aid, meaning free money, grants, scholarships, and work study Stafford loans. So net to the parents out of pocket is 20,000 out of 50.
Wow. Based
on that scenario that I was using. And it'll change. But again, the lower you bring that EFC, the lower the parents are paying for the cost.
That's amazing.
I have a question on this. Reapply, you have to go through this process each and every year as you're going through college. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Now, let's say you've been awarded the grant money or the scholarship, whatever your needs were met for year number one as a freshman, and now you go into become a sophomore, and before that sophomore year begins, you go through this process again. What happens? What's the probability, I guess, of the second year of that not coming to fruition? Have you been through that? I'm sure you've been through that as far as the process of reapplying the following year for a particular family or helping them through that. What happens if are there cases where they just flat out don't qualify the next year?
Yes and no. So the question is, will they qualify for financial aid after the first year if they got money? Is that correct?
Well, I was wondering, what's the probability of them not to qualify in year two? Let's say the financial situation changes. Life changes every year as people move on. But what they give one year may not be what they give another year. I don't know if they would change their own internal policies to what would happen to someone who's planning a 4-year college and then they find out I can only go 1 year because I'm not getting the aid I need to go year number 2, that kind of thing.
Sure.
I mean, have you seen that happen?
One thing that would have, one thing that would avoid that from happening is you need to ask what percentage of need will the schools meet. So considering you have a need every year, then you know that the schools will meet a certain percentage of need every year. So the need percentages don't change drastically from like 100% down to 20% one given year. Your awards can change drastically under the condition of, let's say you're getting need-based aid the first year, your EFC is $20,000, and you're getting $30,000 in aid. But the $30,000 in aid that you're getting is given to you based on merit, institutional, and need-based. So let's say your second year, the parents made $100,000 a year the first year. Second year, their income went up to $200,000 a year. Well, the EFC
Right.
is not going to stay 20,000. It's going to go up to like 30, 40,000, which means whatever percentage of need the schools gave the first year based on a $100,000 EFC, it's going to go in half because the income went up by $100,000.
Right.
But it doesn't
Okay.
mean your merit-based money that you're getting from that 30,000 and the institutional merit money they're giving you is going to go away. The only thing that can go up or down is the need-based, because the need-based is the only one that your income is a factor and your assets are a factor. Like a family gets $500,000 inheritance, and now next year they may not get money. Well, that assets have to be sheltered. We have to shelter it, and they'll still qualify for financial aid. But if their income went up from 100 to 200, and it shows on a tax return, we can't really shelter that unless we're using advanced. Like if we're using advanced tax strategies. In fact, I have a family right now. Their income, their revenue is going up $120,000 is their revenue going up from this year. What we're doing is, instead of renting machines, they're going to buy their machinery. They basically have a printing company, like a press, and instead of renting it, they're going to actually buy some equipment with the extra $100,000 revenue. So that way, it actually gets absorbed in the company.
Got it.
So that way, their adjusted gross income is not going up 100,000. It's only maybe going up by 10,000, which means their financial aid award is not going to change because it's not based on your revenue. It's based on your net, meaning your adjusted gross income. So a little bit of tax planning. Yeah, this is where tax planning comes in play. Like kind of act like a CPA, but not really for taxes, but because of financial aid. Because the financial aid forms are kind of like doing your own taxes, because it's the same type of concept. So we have to use certain strategies that's going to keep the EFC low. But if they're like W-2'd and their income goes up $100,000 and we can't shelter the assets anyhow, then they're going to lose that financial aid the first year they got in the second year, but they're only going to lose the need-based aid. They're not going to lose the merit-based money and the institutional merit. So chances are, it's hard to see a family get $30,000 in aid and then all of a sudden get nothing the next year.
Okay.
Sure, if their income go up drastically, the awards can change slightly by $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $10,000 a year. But again, school goes, hey, you made an extra $100,000 a year. We're going to reduce your awards by $10,000. You got to be okay with that.
Oh yeah, I mean,
and I go, yes, we are okay with that.
Worst things can happen, you know. Have your income increase by $100,000 in a year. You could use some of that just to put back into the college.
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, that's a good problem to have. So
and
I don't think any families will have a problem losing financial aid.
Right. I'm glad you clarified, though, for those that are running a business, that they reinvest that into their business. That kind of scared me when you first started with $100,000 in increased revenue or income. Well, what if you're doing that? If you want to reinvest that in your business, you just answered that perfectly, so you're safe there. So it doesn't keep you from taking that step of growing your business while your kids are going through school. So that was a saving grace statement right there.
Yeah. So home-based businesses and self-employed families just end up having a lot more strategies that work to their favor versus being W-2'd. So like there's 163 different ways on bringing your EFC down. And a handful of those strategies are for families who are self-employed. Whereas if you're W-2'd, when tax laws were written, it wasn't beneficial for W-2 people. It was beneficial for 1099 and self-employed, because in 1913 when tax laws were written, they were designed for self-employed people because everybody was self-employed. So if you're W-2'd, your only tax benefit is putting money in 401k or tax-deferred stuff or mortgage interest write-off. Those are the only technically write-offs you get, whereas when you're self-employed, there's all kinds of stuff you can start writing off on your Schedule C, or if you have a corporation, then it goes into a lot more strategies that a CPA does. But those kind of strategies during college years actually become a win-win. It becomes a double-edged sword where you start benefiting for financial aid, and obviously you benefit on tax strategies because you minimize your tax liability. So self-employed people, home-based business, perfect for college planning and financial aid strategies and stuff like that. So,
well, one of the topics that I kind of wanted to touch on, and this, the economy has not been that great. You were talking about how it's been good for you, and it has for a lot of people. It's doing okay for us, but a lot of folks that it's not. And I think that along with the economy, maybe just poor planning Brian, I think that there's probably a lot of folks out there that are experiencing some form of guilt because they haven't planned properly, have not saved enough along the way. How would you help some of those folks get through that?
Well, if they haven't saved, fortunately the way the system works, and unfortunately for the people who saved, when you have money saved, it actually penalizes you in the Higher Education Act. So if you have $10,000 saved and I have $10,000 saved, and I went to Vegas and I blew mine away on the craps table by accident, I'm going to get more money because I don't have money saved for college.
I love the example.
Now, disclaimer for all of you. Yeah, and this is a disclaimer for all of you watching this. I'm not saying go to Vegas and blow your money away in Vegas. I'm not responsible for that because you're going to get more financial aid. But I'm just proving a point that if you have money saved, it actually hurts you against the system. That's why we have to shelter that stuff if families do have money saved. But if you don't, and usually you probably don't have enough money saved for college, what will happen is there's ways of getting financial aid because you actually get more money when you don't have money saved. So it's really not an issue if families don't have money saved. There's a lot of money out there between grants, scholarships, federal loans, private scholarships, even though that's not where all the money's at. But bundling up all the different strategies, tax scholarships, all these things, when you put all these pieces together, the families will be able to send their kids to any college they want to go to without really worrying about the overall cost. So it's all putting the pieces together.
You just said, no guilt. Don't be guilty.
Yeah, don't be guilty.
Let
but
it
then,
go. Don't be guilty.
Yeah, but then on the other hand, it's unfair, obviously, families who have like 529s or UTMAs or all of these college savings money or mutual funds that are for retirement. They're going to get penalized and get less money because they've been good of saving money. So for those kind of families, they'll still get the same benefit if you don't have money saved. It's just a little bit more work for them because you have to shelter those assets in places that the schools won't view it, and legally and ethically they would be sheltered. Sheltering, I don't mean, hey, let's just avoid it from the financial aid and just not tell them because that's illegal and immoral. I don't agree on any of that, and I don't recommend anybody doing it because they do audit and they do check that. But legally and ethically, there's ways on sheltering mutual funds, 529s, UTMA. Your home equity could count in the financial aid process. There's indexes and things you can do to shelter it, to legally and ethically shelter all this stuff so it doesn't count for financial aid. The problem is people don't have time to read 1,201 pages in the Congress and how it's supposed to be sheltered, and everybody just thinks, hey, we're supposed to just fill out this financial aid form, and supposedly if we fill it out, we'll either get money or we won't, and then most families don't. And then they assume that they just made too much money or they had too much assets and they didn't qualify. So, but those are all myths again.
Well, that's why with taxes we have tax planners, and for seeking out college we have college planners. To read through the massive volumes of microscopic print. The same thing with tax laws. I'm sure it's even more. Yeah. So, thank goodness for you and your business that you've brought up from scratch as an entrepreneur. For what. You're definitely going to be someone I'm seeking out very soon. I've got a son entering high school this year. My daughter is going into her junior year. She's got a very focused approach. She wants to go through a very specialized school, and I want to talk to you about that offline once we're on with the show. But
okay,
lots of thoughts are going through my mind, thinking, and for those that are thinking, well, we're just going to say, he's going to find something for us that will give us 3 times our return on investment, essentially. For saving the amount of savings we're going to get from Brian Sifdari's business would equal 3 times the amount we paid him for his service. But what about if you were to get a loan? That would be even more money you're saving, because if the interest you pay each and every year beyond that. I know I have a personal friend that went through the pharmacy industry, and he went and spent a lot of money and took out a lot of loans, and he was paying that down at least 15 years after he graduated and began working as a pharmacist. He was financially strapped as a pharmacist, someone in the medical profession, and that was very sad. So I can see a lot of where this would play into it doesn't matter what your income is, doesn't matter. Like you said, you can go to any college basically you want, given that they have the right guidance and counseling from someone like you. This is very eye-opening, good stuff.
Thank you.
Yes, it is. And guess what, guys? You're not going to believe it.
Don't say it.
I know. We are already at the top of the hour.
Hey,
it absolutely flies by every week. blows me away. I know it does Brian Kelly as well, but I'm so excited, Brian Saftari, that everything was technologically perfect this time. You were a delight and so informative. Absolutely wonderful. So exciting to share this with all of our viewers, not just from the phenomenal business and the service that you provide, but also giving hope to other entrepreneurs out there that are looking at different niches that they're kind of wondering whether or not they can put it together and be successful. And thank you so much for sharing some of your thoughts in that area as well. I'm going to thank you and turn you back over to Brian here, and look forward to talking to you again soon and having you back with us another time.
Great. Thank you. Thanks, Kathy. Thanks, Brian, for having me. This was a lot of fun, and anything I can do to help you guys out. And anytime I get on this, as long as I can touch one family, that's all I care about. As long as one family gets touched with the message and they know that there's hope and that they can get money, that's been my mission. It's helping one family at a time. So it's an honor to be on here with you guys, and this was a great show. I had a lot of fun. So I hope everybody else enjoyed it.
Well, I'll let you know you already met your quota, because one family right here was already touched by this, and it's got my wheels turning. And
There you go.
Very cool.
I can be certain that many more will be touched by this, those that are not only watching live, but those that watch the recorded version of this. Definitely, once again, click on that link for those that are watching this recorded version for the drawing. It's going to end within a week or two. We're going to put an end date on that, so be sure to enter that soon. And in order to find out how to get that, again, click on the register link right above all of our heads in the middle of this page on internetcitadel.com.
Oh, in the middle.
Yes, in the middle. Yeah, somewhere over here. It's like the Brady Bunch thing. But definitely register, and we will get that information directly to you via email on the next broadcast that gets sent out. But Brian, I want to thank you once again for coming on, spending the time for the second time, and we made it through this time without any glitches or errors, thank goodness, because this information is staggering to me. It's incredible. Plus, the best part about it is your first name and the way you spell it. I love you, man. But
Thank you. I like your name as well. Thanks.
all right, with that, I believe we're going to be back in 2 weeks, not just 1 week, but 2 weeks. So again, get on that, click on the register link, and you will get notification when our next show will be. We have another fantastic guest lined up. This guy will knock your socks off in different ways than Brian just did. With that, I'd like to say to everyone, have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Good night now.
Okay, good night.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.